Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Moved by Councillor Hudson, second by Councillor Keel, resolved that the special meeting commence at the hour of 9:05 a.m. And be it further resolved that council acknowledges that we are meeting in the Robinson Spirit Treaty area on lands that have been traditionally used by several Indigenous nations. But we would like to pay special recognition to our closest Indigenous neighbors, the community of Bigbegon Nishnawbe and Nemezagamic Nishnawbe First Nations. We wish to recognize the long history of First Nations and Métis people in our region specifically and show respect to them today. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Keel, second by Councillor Hudson, resolved that the agenda be approved as circulated. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Keel, second by Councillor Hudson. Resolved that council has been provided a presentation from Barrick Gold regarding a Hemlo operational update. You're up.
Barrick Mining now, actually.
Barrick Mining? Okay,
They changed their name.
we will change that.
A couple months, it's gonna change again.
Rustling.
Alrighty. Oh, start that up. Hold up. Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate the invite. Put to the first slide, the one thing I'd like to do is a safety chair. This one impacted my family when we moved to Timmins back in 2007. So my son was 3.5 at the time. So we bought a home in Timmins and had it all inspected and found some issues with the airtight wood stove and the chimney. We had to put a new insert in that. So we got everything all fixed up and everything was good. We moved into the house in late August or early September. And it was on New Year's Eve when we came home, and it was about 3 in the morning, I think, and my wife woke me and said, "There's something beeping, go see what that is." So I got up and went and had a look, and it was our CO detector was beeping, and we had a digital readout on one, and then the other ones were, we have one on each floor. I've always had them. The other ones are dummies, but this one was reading like 27 parts per million. So I said, well, that's not good. So we checked on Wesley, and he was still okay, and we phoned the fire department. They came out and tried to figure out where the CO was coming from, and it turns out we had a crack in the heat exchanger on our propane furnace. So I said, well, that's okay, we can turn it off, and I've got the airtight wood stove, so I'll get that fired up and just run the fan. So that was good. It was like 2 weeks to get a new heat exchanger, apparently up in Timmins at the time. I get January minus 45 or 50. So the next night we go to bed, and same thing, middle of the night, that's poking me again, and something beeping again. So I get up, and it was a CO detector again with a high reading. So I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I called the fire department. The same guys came out, said like, why'd you start up your furnace? I'm like, I didn't. So something else is going on. So they went down, and what we found was the chimney insert hadn't been installed properly. And with the cold temperatures, it's actually pushing the polluted air back down on the outside of the insert into the basement, and then of course blowing it through the house. So fortunately, we had CO detectors, because I tell people I wouldn't be sitting here today if we had not. I firmly believe that we would have all passed away, because you don't wake up from that essentially, right? There's no smell. You just end up succumbing to it. So fortunately we had detectors, and I've always had them in all my homes. And again, this is the time of year when people are closing up. It was -3 here. I heard this morning from what Randy said. It was like 1 degree in Maryland. But this is when everybody's closing up windows and firing up furnaces. They haven't run most of the summer probably. So it's worth, and I know it's difficult in some small towns to get people to kind of check that stuff, but what you can do for sure is make sure you have CO detectors in your home that are working, and there's an expiry date on them. They don't last forever. So you should be checking that to make sure that they're good, and if not, they're like $25 or something. Go buy them. And like I said, I have them on every floor of my house where I live, just for redundancy more than anything. But it saved my family, there's no question. And unfortunately, you hear about people passing and families passing away through the winter time because of CO poisoning, which in my view is very avoidable by having the proper protection, no different than a smoke detector with a fire. So when you go home today, check that. If you don't have them, stop at the hardware store, buy them. And, you know, spread the word, talk to your family and parents, and, you know, I check my parents' stuff to make sure it's all good, and because it's a real thing that can't happen that quickly. We had ours, like I said, our first inspected like 4 months before, and it was no good, I had a crack. And that's my wife and my son, mostly in the three crazies that we have there. The RSM is actually a Chihuahua, not the best picture for that poor little guy, but I can find all three of them in the picture. And Daisy is the middle one, who's the boss, and then we have a new pup there, it's a white gold retriever, actually. We had a German Shepherd that we lost due to cancer at like 7 earlier this year, so we ended up, Beth decided she needed 3 dogs for some reason again, so there we go. Quite entertaining.
That's busy.
So yeah, at Barrick, we have what we call our DNA, which is really a lot of it our core values. And the one thing we found talking with our people on site is, you know, not everybody remembers all of those. There's a lot of words around that. So what we decided to do for Hemlo was actually put together what we call our own core values for the Hemlo operation. So if you flip to the next slide, the big thing from our perspective is, you know, being safe. So safety, of course, is of the utmost importance. So you'll notice that we put B in front of each of these, which requires some action. So it's actually, you know, core value of being safe, and you need to do something about it. Be honest, be respectful, be an owner, and be great, which is really the coming to work every day and giving it your best effort. And the ownership, again, that's something we've been trying to instill throughout the business since I've joined. With limited success, I'd say. We're getting there with some groups, but not so much with some others, and we're continuing to work on that. We've got our facilitator coming back at the end of this month, and again next month to put through some more people that have been there. And next year, we're going to really push that program hard and have a session every couple of months. So try and build some more momentum. We gained a bit, and sort of flustered, so we got to get back at it. And you know, the thing we're trying to do with the ownership is really get ourselves back to where Hemlo used to be, and used to be what I call a gold star status. The Ministry of Labor spoke very highly of the operation, saying, yeah, years ago we used to bring people here to show them this is how you run a mine, and we've gotten away from that as well over the last up to years. So really trying to focus to bring ourselves back to where people come there and say, hey, this is where I want to work. People are proud to tell people that this is where I do work, and we'll be able to, you know, attract and retain people, and good quality people that want to work safe and follow our core values. So that's really going to be our focus coming into 2026. And I think might be a bit easier under, you know, a new banner with Hemlo Mining Corporation. And again, the new owners really see they bought Hemlo for a reason. One of the lead directors, Bob Quartermain, was part of the team way back when they found all these deposits. And that's why they chose to rename the company Hemlo Mining Corporation. The idea is to build, you know, I'll talk about it a little bit later, but build a $500,000 or 500,000 ounce sort of mid-tier gold producer. But the company named Hemlo, recognizing, you know, the start is with the Hemlo mine and the significance to the company. So you go to the next slide. Barrick policies. So again, we have, you know, sustainable development, environmental, and of course health safety policies. These are published on our website, as well as across the site. Same kind of thing that will happen, we'll have with HMC. So again, you know, our commitment is really to running a safe, responsible, environmentally responsible operation. Flip to the next slide, just touch on Hemlo Mining Corporation. So Carcetti Capital are the group, so it's a pretty competitive process. We had, you know, over 40 companies taking a look at us. We narrowed it down to phase 2, we call it, where we brought 5 groups through to that. And then Carcetti ended up being the successful bidder for Hemlo. We do expect the deal to close mid to late November. We're just working through a couple of hoops there with the government around the closure plan, which we think we should have resolved. So we should be on target for mid-November if everything goes really well. End of November, few minor delays. They're going to be listed on the TSX. So the ticker will be HMCC. They did try to get HEML, I think it was. Or no, HMLO, but that was taken in the US. So the plan is to list not only in Canada, but in the US as well. But yeah, upon closing, their name will change from Carcetti to Hemlo Mining Corporation. And as I mentioned, the vision is really to build a mid-tier Canadian gold producer, with Hemlo being the first asset to plug into that. And we are looking at, plans to try and amp up production a little bit, and fully utilize the infrastructure we have with our shaft and the mill. So that could get us up to, the 200,000 ounce mark in a few years' time, which would be fantastic. But gotta go and bolt on some more assets, but focus again for the next couple of years is really getting Hemlo sorted out, paying down. They had to take on, some debt to buy to raise the money to buy it. So again, focusing on paying down debt to get the stronger balance sheet before you look to go and bolt on some more assets. But we really, myself and the team really look at this as a great opportunity for Hemlo. The analogy I use with everybody on site is really, we're a small fish in a big pond at Bear. And whoever bought us, we were gonna be a bigger fish in a smaller pond. We weren't sure who was gonna buy us. But as it turns out, we're the largest fish in whatever size pond you put us in right now, because we're the only fish in the pond. So what it really does for us is it allows, opens up the opportunity for, gold price is high right now, so I always say make hay when the sun shines. So we're generating some strong cash flows, so we'll be able to actually reinvest that money back into Hemlo to improve the business. We're under Barrick's umbrella. The cash we make goes, I call it the mothership, goes back to the mothership, and they distribute it where they want it. We don't really get a lot of our cash that we're generating back to Hemlo. They're looking at building Ricky Dick, and they've got the 4 Mile where they've got drills turning, and I get it, there's 30 million ounces, they think, down at 4 Mile, and certainly want to spend money there, but we also have what we feel is a very, solid operation here that, again, generates some strong cash flows, but we need to help, invest into the infrastructure that's aged and lots of things we can be doing, and we have been doing some stuff this past year. We fixed up 3 crusher last year, 5 crusher done, we're working on 4 crusher here in the next week or two. So investing some money into the underground, but there's some larger things I think we could do and take advantage of the higher gold price to improve the reliability of our operations, lower the operating cost, and grow our production profile by investing now. And then if gold does drop later on, we're already, running at a lower cost, so we're not so worried about the fluctuation in the gold price. I always say worry about what you can control, and that's our operating costs at the end of the day. The other thing they're really focused on is exploration. So they bought the mine, not because it's got 15 years of mine life, but because they believe it's got 30 years of mine life. So to do that, to prove that, we got to spend money on drilling. So when I came in 2024, our exploration budget was $3 million. Last year, I wrote a letter to Mark Bristow and said, I'd like $10 million, please. And he gave me 6.7. These are US dollars, which is double what we had, but still not sort of what I wanted. And we're talking probably $15 million in exploration out of the gate here next year for our exploration program under the new HMC banner, which is great. And again, the initial focus as part of the deal, what Barrick did is actually went and bought the Rocky Shores claims, which used to be Hemlo Explorers. So we more than doubled our land package around the area, and all that rolled into the sale of Hemlo, trying to make it more attractive for the exploration upside. So we'll be looking to do something there a little bit later. Really, right now, it's about growth within the mine, and then we'll look to step out and test some of the waters, because it was very interesting geological structures to the north of us. There's a Pluton that we're on the south side of, and basically think of it as like a big bowling ball. We're on the bottom side, and on the top side, there's very similar geology and structure to what made Hemlo. So there's been a few holes drilled in it over the years, but not, according to geologists, not the right angle. Not geologists weren't happy with what was done there. So again, very bullish on the potential up there. I thought potentially it could be a Hemlo 2.0 sitting up there. So it'll be interesting to see in the coming years as we start to put some holes in there and see what happens. And the other thing is, moving back to really a strong focus on growing the local workforce and community and supporting the local communities again. We have, we've got a camp, but the idea with the camp was more not to have a full camp, but to use it for projects and, people coming from Sudbury for shutdown work and this and that. So it's gotten fairly jammed up there right now. So again, to try to refocus our efforts to trying to attract and retain local people to be working at this mine. Next slide. Again, this is a thing, when you look at our safety record, we haven't been doing not too bad. We've celebrated 2 years no lost time injuries in June, along with our 40th anniversary of production at Hemlo. So we're looking forward to celebrating 3 years no lost time next June. But we have had, some what we call high potential incidents, or EFIs, or potential fatal incidents. where nobody got hurt, but had things been slightly different, it could have been a very serious situation, so. I call it, we got lucky, and at the end of the day, you can't run a mine based on luck or any kind of business. So we really need to get people back to thinking about this, if you see something that's not right, stopping the person. Or interrupt the situation so that we get people at a harm's way and have that discussion, right? You don't wanna walk by and see Tanya doing stuff she shouldn't be doing and say, whatever, keep going, and then half an hour later, you get a call, Tanya got hurt. And it's like, oh, I could have prevented that, right? So we really want people to take, have the courage to speak up and say something at the end of the day. So that's again, something that we're trying to push within the workforce, is holding each other accountable. You can't just say, well, it's the supervisor's job to do that. The supervisor isn't around all the time. They run from place to place and visit people, but the workers are around one another all the time. So we get the workers to think of holding each other accountable, because you want to go home safe at the end of the day, and you want your partner to go home safe at the end of the day, then we will have a safer operation. So that's something that we'll be trying to push here, or continue to push. Next slide. This just shows our safety results. We had a bit of a bumpy start to the year. Last year, our target frequency was 3.56, which we just got under that, 3.48. This year, we've lowered our target to 3.0. So people ask me, well, why is your target 0? Well, really it is. But we also realize that, going from a high frequency where Hemel has been, a few years back, to 0, it doesn't happen overnight. It's a change in culture, change in thinking. So it's what we call a journey to 0. So how do you get there? Well, every year we try and improve and improve and improve, and before you know it, you'll be down to where you want to be. So we set our target at 3. So based on where we are now, and if we coming through September, we did have a medical aid in September, so we're back up to 3.5. But if we can keep our ducks in a row through October, November, December, we can actually get below our target of 3.0. So we're focused on again, trying to get everybody to stay focused on safety. A lot of distractions, the sales process certainly has people thinking about, this, that, and the other thing, when they should be focused on executing their work. So again, talking to the team about controlling distractions. I call it put your game face on. My son used to play hockey, and he was a goalie, and he used to get out on the ice and be staring at the lights and getting light bulbs and everything, but freaking watching the puck. So I had a little conversation, and there was a game face idea I used with him. I'm like, when you put your pads on, buddy, and you step on the ice, you gotta have your game face on. What's that, Dad? I'm like, focus on the puck. So that's all you gotta do for 45 minutes, too. We thought, well, I can do that. He lasted like 10 minutes, I think, so in between periods, I had to tune him up again, send him back to the net. But anyways, he got there eventually. But the same thing at work. I tell people, when you come to work, and when you get changed, you get your coveralls on, you gotta put your game face on. You gotta put all the distractions to the side and focus on the task at hand, and make sure you're doing your risk assessments and paying attention to the work, because things happen like that. So if you're not paying attention, your mind's wandering, you need to step back and just stay in a safe situation so you can get refocused. So, just talking to people about that a lot, because sales process, I get it. I said, nothing we can do about it. Whatever's gonna happen with the sale when it was going on is gonna happen. It's out of our control. But what's within our control is actually looking after one another, staying focused on the work, and executing the plan that we have in mind. That's our job. What happens as far as the sale, not in our control, so let's not worry about it. We're gonna end up in a good place, which in my view, we ended up in a great place with this new company. So we have done our ISO recertification as well, and environmental and safety, 45,001, 14,001, and then we're leading a bunch of hazmat training. We've got most of our stench drills done for the year. Still maybe another one coming, but we're not telling anybody when. But yeah, no, things are good on site as far as making sure that we're taking care of all the business. Chris will touch on the cyanide code stuff that we're doing in a bit, but yeah, pretty proud of the team that we've achieved. We're over 3 million man hours now, or personnel hours, I guess we should say, which is a fantastic achievement. Again, especially when you look back at, some of the history of the mine and how the safety was, 4 or 5 years ago. We're having some pretty high frequency numbers. So a lot of effort's gone into driving that down, and a lot of commitment from the workforce to pay attention to keeping each other safe at the end of the day. So next slide. Well, there we go. I'll hand it over to Chris. The other Chris.
Few notable priorities that we've been working on. So first is the tailings dam raise, the tailings storage facility. So at some point, in spring 2026, we would run out of tailing storage capacity, which is all ground up rock coming out of the back end of the mill that. And as the gold removed from it, we need to store that on surface, so we started constructing our next dam raise, sort of late spring. And we intend to be completed sometime in December. By the end of the month, that will give us about roughly a year and a half or so of additional tailing storage capacity. And at that point, we're gonna be working on some designs of a full perimeter dam raise that will support the life of the operation. We also have cyanide code, as I mentioned, or as Chris mentioned. Hemlo has been a signatory to the cyanide code since 2009, and the first certification was done in 2010. So every 3 years, we have to go in and get recertified by an independent party. So we're scheduling that for sometime in Q1 in 2026. And the code is really around the safe use of cyanide, both from the transport to the on-site management, mixing, the use of it in the mill, all the maintenance required on the systems to make sure workers are saved, and how it's destroyed at the end. So that we can protect the environment. So all the cyanide at Hemlo is destroyed in the mill before it ever reaches the tailings facility. And on progressive rehabilitation, we have a 5-year progressive rehab plan, which maps out physical hectares rehabbed across those 5 years at the mine site. We did about 1.5 hectares this year. We're focusing on the David Bell, the former David Bell and Golden Giant sites. So you can look at the images there. Top left was May of last year. This was on the east side of the facility, and we put down some, we regraded, resloped, put down some soil and seed in September. And then May 2025 is the bottom left. We had the local schools out. We had Science North out, as well as the forest management company, to put plants of jack pine on there. And there's a photo in last month, bottom right, says 2025. So the seedlings are actually growing quite well. We got some new growth this year pretty quick, so it's taking well. We're also focusing on some stormwater ponds around those facilities that are no longer required. They're just collecting rainwater. We're still managing it. The water quality meets provincial water quality objectives, so we're actually going to look to close those out and continue on with the remediation of those sites. So that's going to add another 6 to 8 hectares of physical rehab that we could bring forward. That was planned at the end of the 5 years. We're going to bring that forward maybe even this year or part of this year, and if we do the rest of the pond, just 3 ponds, we'll do 1 more next year. Yeah, we'll go to the next slide. That's right, Chris, on stats.
So yeah, this just gives you a bit of a high level overview of our performance in Q2. With respect to some of the KPIs, you can see our all-in sustaining cost, Q2 was 1766, year to date 1725. We all know where the gold price is, so we're making some decent margin. Free cash flow generated in the quarter was $41 million. We forecast a little bit less, but again, the gold price a bit higher than what we anticipated. Now that $3,300 gold, whereas gold now, I don't know, broke 4,000 today, but it got over yesterday and settled in at 39.88, I think, last I looked. And exchange rate's like 1.39 right now. So again, it's pretty decent number. Canadian, you're at $5,500 right now gold. Pretty incredible time to be in the gold space. But again, what I see as a real benefit, as I mentioned, is generating extra cash like that with a new company. There's nowhere for it to go other back into Hemlo at the end of the day. So I think there's a great opportunity for us to try and again improve our business and de-risk it for the future and lower that operating cost over time. So we're also continuing, even under Barrick Watch, investing, like I said, capital into 5 crusher, 4 crusher. Those were not small jobs. The tailings work that we're doing as well, the dike raise, and then we're looking at, as Chris mentioned, a centerline raise for the dam, which will give us significant amount of capacity to run out to the end of the mine life. Work has been going on that. It's not like we're just starting that, but the idea is to try and expedite that and get that built sooner rather than later. And we have dike 1 that we follow right now, and we have a dike 2 design as well if we need to do that in the interim. But in our view, we'd rather do the main raise and avoid having to spend money on type two to turn around and do the center line raise if we can, but you know, time dictates it, we'll do type two, but we just want to have our, you know, backup plan in place. But overall, again, you know, the good news is for everybody in the area, Hemlo is doing well, generating some strong cash flows and under the new ownership, I think things will get better at the end of the day, so for the mine and the people working there. You go to the next slide. This gives you an idea of what we're sort of targeting on the growth side, so on the left side of the slide, the red blue lines there, so we have what we call the E zone sitting out there, which is west of the pit. Getting a fair ways away from the shaft, but yeah, we think there's potentially another chute coming down there, similar to sort of what you see just to the right, all those sort of holes together and colors, something that would look similar to that. So doing some drilling out there, we do have a drip plan to go out there as well. And I'd say, you know, these gold prices, for sure, we've got more ore sitting out there. We're also looking to drill the lower part of Interlake and extend that down in depth, as well as the B zone. So these things are open at depth, just never really had any drilling done down there. And part of the reason is trying to get the right platform and angle to be able to drill that effectively requires some capital investment. So we can see in the bottom right, we've actually driven a drift out further so that we can get the proper, set up a diamond drill bay at the end of that, and it gives you a proper angle to drill down and intersect the ore lens to see what's there. When you're right on top of it, you can't actually drill down effectively and see what's going on. You'll just sort of drill along the ore body, which doesn't tell you much. When you get out, you want to try and pierce it at 90 degrees to find out how thick it is, and a lot of information like that. So we're investing capital into putting some of these drifts out to get our diamond drillers a much better angle to drill lower into the mine and to expand that. The other thing we're doing is looking at the upper part of Hemlo as well. So we've got what we call sort of remnant areas, where back in the day, I guess, talking to Jason, the new CEO of HMC, said the first 18 million ounces that came out of here was taken out at $350 an ounce. Gold's like 11 times that price right now, so it wouldn't have been nice to have those 18 million ounces now. But the cutoff grade was like 8 grams back when they started. So right now our cutoff for Hemlo is 2.8. So if you think about that, there's a bunch of stuff that was left behind on the upper part of the mine that's actually still pretty good grade. So we're just looking to bring in some of our own people to get back up into these areas, rehab them, and start mining some of these old stopes that were left behind. That's low cost, essentially you're gonna rehab your way in, drifts and everything that's already infrastructure is in place, it just has to be reconditioned. So we can get back in there safely and do some drilling to verify it's there, but we're pretty confident a lot of that stuff is still there. So that's something that we'll be pushing ahead with here coming into the new year. But yeah, lots of, you know, money planned to be invested into drilling this out, and some of the areas you can see right along the edge as well, the blue stuff right in the middle of the page, again, there's stuff that was left behind back in the day that we're trying to verify and confirm grade, but a lot of that stuff will be coming into the mine plan. It was interesting because they're very conservative when they do their you know, resources. They have been using $1,400 gold. This year they're moving to $1,500 gold. And, you know, the new company will be using something just over $2,000 probably. But when we did the sales model, we used $1,900, and it basically doubled the resource from $1,400 to $1,900 at the mine. So I think there's lots of opportunity to bring a lot more gold and mine life into the plan, given the current gold price. And the thing is, you know, we're not, a lot of these areas we drive in and take the stopes that make our cutoff, but there's lots of low grade stuff that's sort of left behind. But now with the higher gold price, all that stuff starts to make sense to mine as well. And again, limited cost because we've already driven by and most of your infrastructure is in place. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how all this plays out. Yeah, hopefully gold continues to go higher, and you go outside and dig up some dirt, it'll be worth something. Yeah, big investment into exploration coming up with it in the business, which is great news. Next slide. The open pit project, so that's another thing that's on the radar. We've been fussing around with again in Barrick's world with the conservatism. The pit really wasn't a go. Higher gold prices, sure, it makes sense, but what we're also looking at is what's the potential to not do a pit and given the gold price, actually take it from underground. So yeah, just looking, we gotta do some work on that to evaluate what makes the most sense for the business. And then look to move ahead and, pick up the gold that's sitting under the pit right now. So whether it's, again, a pushback or just coming from underground to get it. One of the things we'll also be investigating the potential to put tails back into the pit as a future tailing storage. So basically filling up the hole that we created as part of our remediation for site. And again, that's becoming more and more common. The backfill tails or the pits, so. But yeah, so we'll continue with the engineering work and again, the analysis, but nothing on the plan right now to restart the pit at the moment. We have to do all the engineering work and business case to try and figure out what makes the most sense to do. But we haven't forgotten about it. Excellent. I'll pass it over to Tanya, that little bit of the meeting.
Okay, so this slide is just specific to Q2. So we spent just over $565,000 into the communities. So obviously 500,000 was for the second half of the payment for the long-term care. So then it would be about 65,000 on other things into the communities. Our 40th anniversary, as a part of that, we did try to support every community by, purchasing prizes, etc. So there was some money that came out of that. We also do local sponsorships, all our youth clubs, we support Canada Day activities, fish derbies, etc. We did do 10 high school scholarships and I think 3 came from Manitowoc. So, and I tell people, everybody should be applying for the scholarships. Like, I'm sure we had more than 10 graduates, we got 10 applications, everybody got a scholarship. Now, if we get 50 applications, we might not, be able to give it to all 50, but we do have money set aside and we didn't spend it all this year, so. It's, sad that we're only getting 10 applicants. It is really surprising, so promote that if you can. Yeah, so that's about it on this slide. Unknown callers. This one just speaks to employee engagement. Again, obviously our 40th anniversary, there was lots of activities with that. We did bring back our golf tournament 2 years ago, so this one was our second annual golf tournament. It was an opportunity to get all our employees out, but we also extended invitation, to any of our business partners. I think, Mayor, you were able to attend this year. So if you ever want to put a team in from the town, I know you came with Dan, but our business partners are all welcome to participate with us. So it's an important part of our business. The top corner, I think this was you, Chris, you just said we did clean up on site. So we do our annual cleanup and Chris took his team and actually came out to the Manitowoc turnoff and did some cleanup there. And down in the bottom corner, it's our Women in Mining. So we celebrate our Women in Mining every year. We try to do quarterly check-ins whenever possible. This one was part of International Women in Mining. So we brought everybody in together and we had the investors group, Laura Coyle and another lady came out and spoke to the group basically about financial investments. So the past couple of speakers have talked about mining and how it's impacted those people. We changed it up this year and a lot of people found this really helpful just to hear financial advice. And then we gave everybody a little pink Women in Mining toolkit. So I think everybody really liked it. Most people told if they have husbands, they're not allowed to touch their toolkits. And we're using those right now. So anytime we hire any females right now, we're still giving those toolkits out to our new hires. Okay, next slide. And then we just recently had a barbecue on site in September. So we did 4 barbecues because we really want to make sure that we include everybody on site. So we did 2, one on a Wednesday day shift and night shift, and then one on a Thursday day shift and night shift. Usually that's when our new crews switch over on a Thursday. This was really something we wanted to do tied in with the 40th anniversary because understanding that a lot of people were working at the week of our events, we wanted to make sure we did something on site. So we did our barbecues, we had prizes for each of the different crews, one large one and then some smaller ones. And then we actually had a bunch of barrack swag that was out that people could come and take for free, just because we want to get rid of some of our barrack swag right now. We'll be switching over. Next slide. And again, the 40th anniversary celebrations, that was a big focus for us this year. We put a lot of hours spent on trying to come up with a big celebration. And we wanted to make sure we celebrated within all the communities. And we had some people reach out, disappointed that we weren't doing it on site, we weren't offering tours, but we do family day every year. And as part of that family day, we incorporate tours, so, people can come out for the tours in that way. But we wanted this to be a part of our community. And we did, obviously, most of the events happened in Marathon, but we tried to sponsor or do something in all the communities. I think here we had a beach day, and then we did the ice cream. Did the ice cream in all the different communities, which that was a big hit. We were able to, lots of people got to enjoy ice cream, but we were also supporting businesses at the same time. Okay, next one. And this just speaks to Manitowoc specific. Obviously, we come out as part of the rendezvous days, the panning for gold. That's something we've done the last couple of years, and kids really seem to enjoy that one. We sponsor your dance academy. We always, the last few years, we've been going out on Teacher Appreciation Week, making sure all the teachers get baskets for the various schools. We also go to the hospitals and, recognize Nursing Week, Doctors Week. And then the last picture, there's just some of your kids that received the scholarships this year. Next slide. So this one is investments year to date. So the last one talked quarter, but this is specific to year to date. So this does now include the second payment we made to you guys for your recreation upgrades. So that's why it's 276,000. And then, I spoke to some of the things that we supported, but this just highlights the different things that we donated to this year. That's it. So, next slide. I don't think there is another slide. Oh, no, there is. This is the complaints and grievance process that we have in place. This is for communities, so not employees. Obviously, with employees, we have a different process. So when if a community member has a complaint, basically we receive the complaint, we'll make sure we respond to them initially to acknowledge we've received it. We will do an investigation to figure out what happened. We'll come up with an action plan, and then we will follow back up with that person with a final response. The goal with all our grievances that we receive is that we want to have them kind of from start to finish within 30 days. So we don't want to leave things lingering. So we don't get many grievances. I say we have had a couple maybe from this area in the past due to some rocks when we were doing some hauling, but nothing in the last couple of years. Okay, next slide. And then this is just our contact details should somebody want to file a complaint. We post this in the Marathon Mercury every quarter right now so that people can see it if they receive the Mercury. Again, there's a hotline you can call. We check that every day. We also have our Hemlo Community Relations barrack email that people can use. And then you can always go to security and request a form as well. Yeah. So I don't think we have that posted anywhere here in this community.
Do you have the Boreal that we could probably submit it to?
Okay. All right, can you give me the contact for that?
Boreal. Yeah, you could reach out to myself or Chelsea, so.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Slide. That's the best thing. So that's it.
Yeah, happy to have any questions or anything.
Oh, perfect, great. Any questions?
Yep, to the chair. You touched on earlier about the local employee retention. So is there option right now currently only to work for Barminco, or is there future plans to take over to re-employ locals as company employees as Barrick used to?
Yeah, exactly where we go under the new company isn't determined as of yet. But we have, as I mentioned, put out an ad looking for, miners, move operators, truckers, jumbo. Looking to get a few project engineers, again, looking to move into the upper part of the mine to do some of the rehab there. So not looking to grow the contracting side, but again, looking to move back to doing some of the work ourselves. So where that leads to over the next coming months or years, I'm not 100% sure as of yet. We'll get more direction from the new company when they come on board. But for sure, right now, we want to, again, try and attract some local people to come back and work for it. Yeah. I think there's opportunity. We know there's people in Marathon that are traveling to go work elsewhere, so we're hoping to try and attract some of those people back to the business to start with, and probably build from there.
I think you guys have some people here too. But I know, we posted for the mechanics and we had a few people that live in Manitowoc that are now working Alamos, those places that would definitely come back, under our end with on the company side of things. And then just one thing to add, he talked more on the underground, but also with us now switching over and no longer being with Barrick, there were some services that were being done by Barrick down in Nevada, our Henderson office, so our payroll and our accounts payable. So we did recently post for a payroll clerk and 2 accounting clerks, because those positions now that we don't have the Barrick support are coming back to the office, so. And there will be potentially some other positions coming up.
Yeah, stuff like that, because NGM supports us a lot through some of that stuff, so. And we're gonna be quite happy to have ownership of that again, because it's a little frustrating on the IT side, especially when something goes wrong with the underground this night, we gotta call Nevada. Doesn't make a lot of sense.
Just one more question. As far as expanding your barriers, does any of that protrude into the 614? Cause I know Fort Longyear was doing some extensive diamond drilling just down the highway a bit there. And I had heard that potentially that Barrick or Blackhawk will be maybe going and accessing some of that or mining in there, or is that just?
No, we're not doing any surface work at the moment. So whoever's drilling there, it's not us.
Oh.
Yeah, so I don't know who that is. Somebody else kicking tires around
Been for the hole in one, eh?
there.
Okay,
Just pass this around, get you guys to also sign.
so thank you. That was a very exciting, and positive presentation. So, I'm glad to see that it's a positive thing with the new company and you feel that way. So I'm sure that's gonna, go through all the employees in the same feeling. So,
The feedback we've had from some visitors coming, is everybody seems pretty excited about the opportunity, not just myself, but talking with various people around site. We have a maintenance manager hired. We gave some of that feedback, just talking with people through his tour yesterday. So yeah, people seem very positive, so. No, I think it's fantastic.
that's great. And again, thanks for everything you do for our community and the surrounding ones. We appreciate it.
Thanks for inviting us
Okay,
to come present.
and further that council thank Barrick Mining and Lowe for their presentation. All in favor? Carried. Get a time to it. Okay, moved by Councillor Hudson, second by Councillor Keo, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the council of the Township of Manitowoc at a special meeting held Wednesday, October 8th, 2025, be read a first and second time. Further be read a third time, passed and numbered as bylaw number 2025-40. All in favor? Carried. Okay, moved by Councillor Keel, second by Councillor Hudson, resolved that the special meeting adjourned at the hour of 9:48 AM. All in favor? Carried.